Hey guys, so I've made this predicted paper for person that's at IGCSE, paper code 4MA1, higher paper 1. So in this predicted paper, I have selected possible questions from 2018 onwards to 2024. I've selected the most difficult questions so that even if like you have some confusions about how to solve questions, these challenging questions will address those confusions and help you in scoring a better grade. So without further delay, let's start these questions and see how we can make our preparation better for the exam and score better. So let's start with the first question. So the first question says that A equals to 3 to the power 5 times 7 to the power 3, and B equals to 2 to the power 3 times 7 to the power 4. We have to find the highest common factor of A and B. So we always get the highest common factor question. So obviously we're going to miss out on that. I selected the most confusing one, because the one where we just have to prime factorize, that's pretty easy. But people get confused with the ones where there's indices involved and like which one's the highest common factor, which one's the lowest common multiple. So in this case, when the numbers are written down as prime factors in index form, what we do is for the highest common factor, we see what's the highest common thing. So we know that both of them have a 3, just one 3 is common between both of them. Because if we rewrite 3 to the power 5, that's basically 3 times 3 to the power 4. And for 7, we have 7 cube common because 7 to the power 4 is 7 times 7 cube. So highest common factor would be 3 times 7 cube. So that's going to be your final answer. Then for the lowest common multiple, we go for the highest powers. So basically, 2 would be 2 cube, 3 would be 3 to the power 5, 5 would come as it is because that's the highest power, and for 7, we'll pick 7 to the power 4. So when you multiply these, that will give us the lowest common multiple. So this is your final answer. Once again, remember, highest common factor, first you decide which number is common between both the numbers. So in A and B, both had 3 and 7. Now we see what's the lowest common power. So lowest common power is obviously for 3, 1 power, and for 7, it's 3 power. So 3 times 7 cube is highest common factor. And for lowest common multiple, you pick up the biggest power. So for 2, the biggest power is 3. For 3, the biggest power is 5. For 5, the biggest power is 1. And for 7, the biggest power is 4. In lowest common multiple, you will write all of the numbers 2, 3, 5, and 7. Whereas in the highest common factor, you will only write the numbers that are common between A and B. Then it says that A is the same, B is also the same, C is introduced, where C equals to 2 to the power of B times 5 to the power of Q times 7 to the power of R. Given that the HCF of B and C is 2 cubed times 7. And the LCM of A and C is 2 to the power 4 times 3 to the power 5 times 5 squared times 7 cubed. Find the value of P, Q, and R. So first, let's use the HCF. So B is 2 cubed times 3 times 7 to the power of 4. And C is 2 to the power of B times 5 to the power of Q times 7 to the power of R. HCF is given as 2 cubed times 7. And then for A and C, A was 3 to the power of 5 times 5 times 7 cubed. Your LCM is given as 2 to the power of 4 times 3 to the power of 5 times 5 squared times 7 cubed. Now, if you compare A and C, A doesn't have 2, but C does have 2. And as I told you, when we're doing the lowest common multiple, we take all of the numbers and we pick the highest powers. So which means P would be 4. Now for Q, A does have 5 and the LCM has 5 squared, which means Q probably had the power of 2 because once again, we picked the power which is the highest for that base. And for R, which is the power of 7, the LCM shows that we took 7 cubed. A also has 7 cube, which means we're taking 7 cube from A. Now, if we look at the HCF now, HCF has a 7, and over here, B shows that it's 7 to the power 4, which means R is 1. Because 7 to the power 1 would be 7. Between 7 to the power 4 and 7, we know 7 is common between both of them. Hence, the HCF has 7. And R would also be 1. Like I said, for LCM, we take all of the numbers with the highest powers. And for HCF, we just take the common numbers with the common powers. Then question number 2 says, Becky has a bisect-sided dice. The table gives information about the probability that when the dice is thrown, it will land on each number. Becky is going to throw the dice 200 times, work out an estimate for the number of times that the dice will land on an even number. So the probability question always comes where they're asking us to estimate the number of times an event is happening. So first thing you need to remember is that the sum of all of these probabilities will always equal to 1. So that means we can use that to find the value of x. 2x plus 0.18 plus 2x plus 3x plus 0.26 plus x. So that's going to give us 1 equals to 8x plus 0.18 plus 0.26, which is 0.44. So then 1 minus 0.44 divided by 8 is going to be x, which is going to give us 0.07 for x. Now, Becky is going to throw the dice 200 times, work out an estimate for the times the dice will land on an even number. So even number is 2, 4, and 6. So for this, what we're going to do is that first we're going to find the probability for 4. So that's going to be 3 times 0.07, which is 0.21, and this is 0.07. So now what we will do is we will add up these probabilities and then times it by 200. So firstly, probability of 4, that's 3 times 0.07, which is 0.21. Then probability of 6 is 0.07. So probability of even number is going to be 0.18 plus 0.21 plus 0.07 times 200. That's going to equal 92. Then it says Jenny has 6 cards. Each card has a whole number written on it so that the smallest number is 5. The largest number is 24. The median of the 6 numbers is 14. And the mode of the 6 numbers is 8. For the remaining 4 cards, write on each dotted line a number that could be on the card. And Jenny has arranged the cards in order of size. So smallest number is 5. And the largest number is 24. Median is 14. Now, as you can see, there are 6 cards, so which means median value is going to be in the middle of the 3rd and the 4th card. Why? Because in even number of values, we find the 2 values that are right in the middle of the data set. Then we find the value in the middle of those 2 values. The mode is going to be 8, which means 8 is going to exist more than once. So let's say we assume that 8 is over here and 8 is over here. So for us to get a value of 14 between 8 and this number, 8 plus x over 2 is 14. 8 plus x equals to 14 times 2, which is going to be 28. So x is going to be 28 minus 8, and that is 20. So this comes out as 20. And this one over here, it can be any number as long as it's between 20 and 24. So I'm going to go with 21. You can write 22 or 23 as well. So once again, they told us that the median is 14. 14 is right in the middle of the third number and the fourth number. They told us that the mode is 8, which means 8 is existing more than once. So if we say that the first two numbers are 8 after 5, so the number between 8 and another number is 14. So if you find the average of these two and make an equation, that means 8 plus x over 2 equals to 14. And that gives us the value of x as 20. So this is 20. And the last card between 20 and 24, it can be any number as long as it's between 20 and 24. So it can be 21, can be 22, or 23. It cannot be 20 because we said that the mode is 8. So 20 cannot be repeated. And similarly, it cannot be 24 because mode is 8. So we have to stick to a number that's between 20 and 24. Then it says a baseball team plays 6 games. After playing 5 games, the team has a mean score of 21 points per game. After playing 6 games, the team has a mean score of 23 points per game. Work out the number of points the team scored in the 6th game. So for the 5 games, sum over 5 equals to 21, which means sum of points for the 5 games are going to be 21 times 5, which is equal to 105. Then for the 6 games, its sum over 6 equals to 23, which means the sum over here is going to be 23 times 6, and that's going to be 138. Now, you need to remember that these are for the 6 games. So in these 6 games, the 5 games are also included. So to find out the points of the 6th game, we can find the difference of 138 and 105. And that's going to give us a value of 33. So 33 points are the points that he scored in the 6th game. So in these type of questions, what we need to do first is find the sum of values. So for the sum of values, you multiply the number of times an event is happening with the mean score. That gives you the sum for all of the scores happening within those, games or events, whatever that was happening. And then you repeat it for the other thing as well, whether it's like 7 games or 6 games. And then to find the score between the 5th game and the 6th game, what you do is you subtract those sums, and that will just give us the points for the 6th game. Then it says write 2,040 million in standard form. So that's just going to be 2.84 times 10 to the power of 9. You will move the decimal 9 places to the left-hand side, and it's going to land between 2 and 8. The first digit cannot be less than 0. It always has to be greater than 0, but less than 10. So it's supposed to be between, 0 and 10. Then it says write 2.5 times 10 to the power of -4 as an ordinary number. So initially in part A, they gave us the number in ordinary number and they want us to convert it into standard form. Now they want us to do the opposite thing. They gave standard form and they want the ordinary number. So 2.5 times 10 to the power of -4 would be us moving the decimal 4 places to the left side. So that's 0.00025. That's your answer. Then algebra, expand and simplify. So we have a double bracket which we have to expand. So x gets multiplied with x and 3. Then -4 gets multiplied with x and 3. So that's x times x plus 3. -4 times x plus 3. That's going to be x squared. Remember, when we are multiplying variables, the power will change. So x times x is x squared. X times 3 is 3x. -4 times x is -4x. And -4 times 3 is -12. So that's x squared minus x minus 12. That is your expansion. Then it says factorize. So that's the opposite thing. Now we're going to convert this expression into brackets. So between 3x squared and 12x, we know that 3x is common because 3 and 12 come in the 3 times table. So that leaves us with x minus 4 inside the bracket. So 3x times x minus 4 is the answer. Then it says solve the equation 2x plus 7 equals to 3 times x minus 2. So we have a multi-step equation and they want us to find the value of x. Whenever they use the word solve, remember they're always asking us to find the value of x. So expand the bracket first. 2x plus 7 equals to 3x minus 6. Collect the like terms on each side. So I'm going to bring the 6 to the left-hand side, which makes it positive 6. And when we take 2x to the other side, becomes negative 2x. 13 equals to x, and that is your answer. For this, you need to remember that when you're moving terms from one side to the other side, their sign changes. If it's positive originally, it becomes negative. If it's being multiplied originally, it divides on the other side. So the function that it's performing is going to be the opposite on the other side. Then it says solve the inequality 4x minus 5 greater than 2x plus 3. Represent your answer on a number line. So solving an inequality is pretty much the same as solving an equation. The only difference is the way you're writing the answer now. So once again, we collect the like terms on each side. 4x minus 2x greater than 3 plus 5. 2x greater than 8. X is going to be 8 over 2, which is 4. So now for the number line, this is 0. So we have 4. So 4 is going to be somewhere over here. It says x is greater than 4. So what we do is we draw a blank dot, a blank circle at 4 and draw an arrow that goes towards the right-hand side. The reason why it's a blank dot is because it says x is greater than 4, which means the value of 4 is not included in the range of values for x. Any value that's greater than 4, that is included. And since it's greater than, that's why we're showing increasing values of x. If it was less than, we would show decreasing values of x. And in case it was x greater than equal to 4, then you would shade the circle. So that's how you differentiate between greater than, equal to, or greater than, or like less than, equal to, or less than. And another thing for inequalities you need to remember is that if, let's say, it was negative 2x greater than 8, for example, then we're dividing both sides by negative 2, right? In an inequality, whenever you're dividing both sides by a negative number, what happens is that the inequality flips. So since it's greater than, it would become x is less than negative 4. So you need to be very careful about this. If we're dividing both sides by a positive number, nothing will happen to the sign. But if we're dividing both sides by a negative number, your sign will become opposite. If it's greater than, it becomes less than, or vice versa. Then question 6 says that a rocket traveled 1,000 kilometers at an average speed of 28,440 kilometers per hour. Work out how long it took the rocket to travel the 100 kilometers, giving your answer in seconds correct to the nearest second. So in this case, we know that average speed has the formula of distance over time. We're trying to find time, so time would be distance over speed. Distance is 100 and speed is 28,440. So if we divide the two, what you will get is 0.003516 1744. This is in hours. They want the time in seconds. So we know 1 hour equals to 3600 seconds. So to convert these into hours, we time this by 3600. So 3600 times 0.0035161744. And that's going to give us 12.65. They want the seconds correct to the nearest second. So obviously that gives us 13 seconds. That's your answer. So key takeaway from this is that You need to remember what 1 hour equals to in minutes and seconds, and the other way around. 1 hour is 60 minutes, 1 hour is 3600 seconds, and 1 second is 1 over 3600 hours, and 1 second is 1 over 60 minutes. Question 7 says expand and simplify 4x times 3x plus 1 times 2x minus 3. So this is like similar to expanding triple brackets. So what you're going to do is you're going to expand the two brackets first and then multiply 4x with all of the terms. So it's going to be 3x times 2x minus 3 plus 1, and then again times 2x minus 3. So that's going to be 6x squared minus 9x plus 2x minus 3 multiply 4x. Actually, first collect the like terms. So 6x squared minus 7x minus 3. Now you can expand the bracket. So 4x times 6x squared is 24x cubed. 4x times 7x is negative 28x squared. And then negative 12x. This is your expansion of the bracket. So 24x cubed minus 28x squared minus 12x. Use ruler and compasses only to construct the perpendicular bisector of the line AB. You must show all your construction lines. So for this, first thing you would do is you would measure your line AB. Let's say it's 6 centimeters, let's say, we're assuming. So if AB is 6 centimeters, what we do is we open the compass to more than half of the length. Half of AB is going to be 3 centimeters. So let's say you open your compass to 3.5. So when you open the compass to 3.5 centimeters, once you've done that, we put the compass at point A and draw an arc above the line and below the line. Similarly, we put the compass on point B with the same length, that's 3.5 open, and we draw an arc above the line and below the line. So you would get something similar like this. And once you've drawn those arcs, you connect them by a straight line. And this straight line will be your perpendicular bisector. To check if it's correct, you will measure your distance from point A to this line and from point B to this line. Both these lines will be 3 centimeters. If it's not 3 centimeters, that means you did something wrong. So you'll have to construct your perpendicular bisector again. So this is how you construct your perpendicular bisector. Then it says, Chen invests 40,000 yuan in a fixed term bond for 3 years. The fixed term bond pays compound interest at a rate of 3.5% each year. Work out the value of Chen's investment at the end of 3 years. If your answer correct, there is 1. So what we do is, since it's compound interest has the formula of principal amount or the initial amount times 1 plus rate of interest over 100 to the power of t. So P is 40,000. I would suggest that write these things down as a list on the side. Write the principal amount, write the rate of interest, write your time, see what value they're asking us to find. They're asking us to find the interest. So if you make this list, it makes it easy for you to understand what's given and what's not given, and how you need to go about the question to find the missing information. So what we do is we just substitute the values, 40,000 times 1 plus 3.5 over 100 to the power of 3. We plug this in the calculator, and what we should get is 44,348.715. So to the nearest one, it's going to be 44,349. That is your final answer. Then Wang invested P1 and the value of his investment decreased by 6.5% each year. At the end of the first year, the value of Wang's investment was 30,481. Work out the value of B. So to work out the value of B, what we will do is 30,481 is the value of the investment at the end of the first year. We don't know the initial amount. That's what we're trying to find. So B is not given. R is 6.5. T is going to be 1 because we're talking about 1 year right now. And your final amount is 30,481. So times 1 minus 6.5 over 100 now. Why 1 minus 6.5 over 100? Because it's decreasing by 6.5%. So we subtract. In compound interest, it's increasing each year. Now it's decreasing. So T is going to be 1. So 30,481 equals to B times, so 6.5 divided by 100, 1 minus that, that's going to be 0.935. Then we divide 30,481 by 0.935. And that's going to give us 32,600 as the value of B. So key takeaway from this is that you need to remember the formula for compound interest. You need to know if it says increasing, then it's 1 plus the rate of interest. If it says decreasing, it's 1 minus rate of interest. And I would suggest listing down the values like this so that you know what's given and what's unknown. Then it says Shane bought a car. The amount Shane paid for the car was $32,000. Teresa also bought a car. Pay for this car, Teresa paid a deposit of $18,000 together with 14 monthly payments of $1,160. Teresa paid more for her car than Shane paid for his car. Work out how much more Teresa paid as a percentage of the amount Shane paid. So for this, we know that Shane bought the car for this much amount and Teresa paid a deposit of 18,000 together with 14 monthly payments. So it's going to be 18,000 plus 14 times 1,160. This would give us the amount that she paid. So that's going to give us 34,240. Shane has paid 32,000. We have to work out how much more she has paid as a percentage of the amount Shane paid. So more paid would be the difference of 34,240 and 32,000. That's going to give us 2,240. So 2,240 as a percentage of what Shane paid, 32,000, and then we times this by 100. That's going to give us 7%. Then Kyle bought a van. After 1 year, the value of the van was $39,865. During this year, the value of the van decreased by 15%. Work out the value of the van when Kyle bought it. So 39,865 basically represents 85% of the original price because we experienced a decrease in the first year and that showed that the price decreased by 15%. So if it decreased by 15%, which means this value is 85% of what the price originally was. So we do 39,865 divided by 0.85, which is equal to x being the original price. So that gives us 46,000 $900. That's the original price of the van. Then we have surds. It says that show that 6 plus 2 root 12 whole square is the same as 12 bracket 7 plus 4 root 3. So let's rewrite this as 6 plus 2 root 12 times 6 plus 2 root 12. Now expand the bracket. 6 multiplied by 6 plus 2 root 12 and plus 2 root 12 times 6 plus 2 root 12. 6 times 6 is 36. 6 times 2 root 12 is 12 root 12. 2 root 12 times 6 is 12 root 12 again. And this is going to be 2 root 12 whole square. When you're multiplying surds, what you need to remember is that when you're multiplying a constant with a surd, the constant will get multiplied with the number that's outside the surd. That's why I did 6 times 2, which gave us 12 root 12. Nothing happened to the root 12. It stayed as it is. Over here, now when we're multiplying 2 root 12 to itself, it's basically squaring itself. So what we do is we collect the like terms first. These two are like terms because both have the same number inside the surd. So we can add them up, which gives us 24 root 12. And when we square this, we square the 2 outside and we square the root. So 2 squared is 4 and square of root 12 is 12. Whenever we square a root, what you get is the number that's inside the root. So 36 plus 24 root 12 plus 28. Add the two. 36 plus 28 is going to give us, and 4 times 12 is 48. Now 36 plus 48 is going to give us 84. And over here we can see that there's 3 in the root, not 12, which means you prime factorize 12. 12 is 4 times 3. 4 is 2 times 2. 2 and 3 are prime factors, so that means we cannot further break them down. So we can rewrite 12 as the root of 4 times 3. And we know 4 is a square number, so square root of 4 is 2. So it becomes 2 root 3. So 84 plus 24 times 2 root 3, which is 84 plus 48 root 3. Both have 12 in common, so 12 bracket 7 plus 4 root 3, which is exactly what the question was asking us to show. Then it says simplify fully 27a to the power of 12 over t to the power of 15 whole power negative 2 over 3. So this is the case of a fractional index. Whenever we have a fractional power, what we do is we distribute the power on both the numerator and denominator. Apart from that, since it's a negative power, so we flip the fraction as well. So first we will flip the fraction to make the fractional power positive. So that's going to leave us with t to the power of 15 over 27a to the power of 12 whole power 2 over 3. As you can see, the only thing that happened is that we swapped the numerator and denominator and made 2 over 3 positive. Now we distribute the power to both the numerator and denominator. And when we distribute it, what happens is that the powers multiply. So this is one of the rules of indices. Whenever you have a power outside the bracket and inside the bracket, you multiply the powers. If you're multiplying similar bases, you add the powers. If you're dividing similar bases, you subtract the powers. So where it's going to be 15 times 2 over 3 over 27 to the power of 2 over 3 and a to the power of 12 times 2 over 3. As you can see, the 2 over 3 got distributed on the 27 as well, not just on the variable. So you have to be very particular about that. You can't leave out the number. The power will get distributed on every single thing that's in the equation. So that's going to be t to the power of 5 times 2, which is 10, 27 is basically 3 cubed. So 3 cubed times 2 to the power of 3. And a becomes 12 divided by 3 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. So that's t to the power of 10 over 9a 8. Because the 3 get cancelled out and 3 squared is 9. First, there's a diagram shows a trapezium ABCD in which BC and AD are parallel. The trapezium has exactly one line of symmetry. So if it has only one line of symmetry, that means it's going to be right over here. And that means that these two lengths are equal. Then it says that BC equals to 8.4 and AD equals to 17.6. The trapezium has area of 179.4 centimeters squared. Work out the sides of angle ABC, leaving answer correct to one decimal place. So like I said initially that it has one line of symmetry, which means AB equals to CD. Then that also means that if we draw a line over here and over here, that means we have two identical triangles and they are right angle triangles. Now, if the total length of AD is 17.6 and a part of it is BC, which is 8.4, we can easily find these two lengths. So if we do 17.6 minus 8.4 and then divided by 2, that is going to give us 4.6 centimeters, which means this part is 4.6 and this part is also 4.6. Now they want us to find the angle ABC, which is basically all of this. Now a part of this is a right angle triangle, so we need to find this angle basically to find the complete answer. We know this is 4.6. We know this is going to be 8.4 as well, like from the middle. They've given us the area. So using the area, we can find the height of the trapezium. How? Because we already have the two parallel sides and the only thing that's missing is the height. So area of a trapezium is basically 1 over 2 times the height times the sum of parallel sides. This is A, this is B. So 179.4 equals to 1 over 2 times H times 8.4 plus 17.6. So 8.4 plus 17.6 is going to give us 26. And then 26 divided by 2 is 13. So 179.4 equals to H times 13. 179.4 divided by 13 is our H, which is going to give us 13.8. So 13.8 is our height. So this is 13.8. So now we can easily find the angle B over here using SOHCAHTOA. We have the adjacent, which is 13.8. Remember, adjacent is always the length on which the base angle lies, and opposite is the length which is opposite to the angle that we're taking as the base angle. So 4.6 is our opposite, and hypotenuse will always be the slant length. So tan theta equals to 4.6 divided by 13.8. Theta equals to tan inverse of 4.6 divided by 13.8, which is going to give us 18.43. So total angle ABC is going to be 90 plus 18.4, which is equal to 108.4 degrees, correct to one decimal place. That is going to be your answer. Then it says root 2 divided by 8 cube over 16 to the power of 3 over 2 is equal to 2 to the power of n. Work out the value of n. Show your working clearly. So this question is about the rules of indices. So in these type of questions, when they have given a one number as a prime number, which is 2 over here, and the other numbers come in the 2 times table, but for us to further simplify this, we need to convert them into the base of 2. So to convert them into the base of 2, what we do is we rewrite 8 as 2 cube because 8 is 2 times 2 times 2 and 16 is 2 to the power of 4, which is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. So root 2 divided by 2 cube whole cube over 2 to the power 4 whole power 3 over 2 equals to 2 to the power of n. Even though this question looks very weird, but once you convert them into the same base, it's quite simple. So the key to this is that convert them into the same base, then start applying the rules of indices. When you have the same bases being divided, you subtract the powers. And when we have the same bases being multiplied, we add the powers. And if there's a power outside the bracket and inside the bracket, you multiply the powers. So let's first simplify this as 2 to the power of 9, multiply the powers, and this becomes 2 to the power of 6. Now similar bases are being divided, so we subtract the powers. Root 2 divided by 2 cube, because 9 minus 6 is 3. Once again, similar bases are being divided, so we subtract the powers. Root represents the power of 1 over 2. So 1 over 2 minus 3 equals to 2 to the power of n, which is going to be negative 5 over 2. So that shows that n equals to negative 5 over 2. You can rewrite this as negative 2.5 as well. Either way, it's correct. So once again, the key takeaway is that convert the numbers into the similar base. Similar base will be a prime number, and that prime number would already be mentioned in the question, which in this case was 2. So we can rewrite 8 in the base of 2, which is 2 cube. 16 can be rewritten as 2 to the power of 4. Once you've done that, then you can simplify the powers. Similar bases being divided, you subtract the powers. If there's a power outside the bracket, inside the bracket, you multiply the powers. Once we apply those rules, we get 2 to the power of negative 5 over 2 on one side and 2 to the power of n on the other side. Whenever you have the same basis existing alone on each side, you can put the powers equal to each other. And keeping that in mind, n equals to negative 5 over 2. Then it says find 4% of 4.5 times 10 to the power of 157, giving your answer in standard form. So for this, it's basically 4 over 100 times 4.5 times 10 to the power of 157. You can plug this in the calculator or rewrite this as 0.04 times 4.5 times 10 to the power of 157, which is basically 4 times 10 to the power of negative 2, 0.04 times 4.5 times 10 to the power of 157. Now 4 times 4.5 is basically going to be 18. And like I said, whenever we have similar bases being multiplied, we add the powers. So negative 2 plus 157 is 155. As mentioned previously, in standard form, your first digit before the decimal has to be greater than 0, but less than 10. So this becomes 1.8, and we add 1 to the power. So that's 10 to the power of 156. So this is your answer in standard form. Then it says the diagram shows isosceles triangle ABC, where AB equals to AC, which is 17.5, and BC is 28 centimeters. Calculate the area of the triangle ABC. So whenever we have a non-right angle triangle, where they haven't given us the height, but they've given us the base and the other lengths, and they want us to find the area, what we need is two lengths and the angle between them. Why? Because we can only find the area using the rule, which is 1 over 2 A times B times sine of angle C. So this rule is applicable when you have two lengths and the angle between them. Over here, we have all three lengths. So all we need to do is find one of the angles. We can find angle A, B, or C because all three lengths are given, so it doesn't matter which angle we use. I'm going to find angle A. There's no restriction on that. You can also find angle B or C. So to find angle A, we need to see which rule can we apply. Can we apply SOHCAHTOA? Can we apply Pythagoras? Can we apply sine rule or cosine rule? Based on the given information, we can only apply cosine rule because cosine rule is applicable when all three lengths are given or when we have two lengths and the angle between them. Over here, since all three lengths are given, we can easily apply cosine rule. The reason why we cannot apply sine rule is because we need one angle and one opposite length for us to apply the rule. Like for example, we need one complete set. Either we need angle B and the opposite length, or we need angle C and the opposite length, or angle A or the opposite length. In this case, that's not possible because none of the angles are given, but all three lengths are given. So sine rule is out of question. SOHCAHTOA is also out of question because we don't have any of the angles and we don't even have the height of the triangle. If we had the height, then we could have used that to find the angle. Since we don't, so SOHCAHTOA is also out of our options. And similarly, Pythagoras as well, because Pythagoras is only used to find missing lengths, not the angle. So what we can do is we can use cosine rule. However, you can use Pythagoras to find the height of the triangle. That is another alternative. You can find height of the triangle using Pythagoras. And then using that, you can find angle A, B, or C. And then further use that to find the area. So there are two ways to deal with this. I'm going to go with the cosine rule. And this we can also learn how to apply cosine rule because most kids struggle with that. So keeping that in mind, your formula is going to be 17.5 squared plus 17.5 squared minus 28 squared divided by 2 times 17.5 times 17.5. Let's find the value of this fraction and then further use that to find the angle, which is going to be angle A over here. Let me just replace theta with angle A. Okay, so that's going to be negative 0.28. So angle A is going to be cos inverse of negative 0.28, which is going to give us 106.26 degrees. Now that we have the angle, we're going to use the area rule. So area is 1 over 2 times 17.5 times 17.5 times sine of 106.26. So sine of 106.26 times 17.5 squared divided by 2 is 147 centimeters squared. So what you need to remember in these type of questions is that you need to know conditions for sine rule, you need to know the conditions for cosine rule, you need to know the conditions for SOHCAHTOA, Pythagoras, when to apply them, which one is the most suitable method. In most cases, you can apply several methods to reach the answer. You have to pick that one that best suits you, saves time, and would guarantee the correct answer. So 147 centimeters squared. Then it says the diagram shows a circle with center O. A, B, and C are points in the circle so that the length of the arc ABC is 5 centimeters. Given that the angle AOC is 55, work out the area of the circle. So area of the circle has the formula of pi r square. Looking at the information given in the question, we don't have the radius, which is what we need for the area of the circle. But what we know is the angle and the length of the arc ABC. So using this, we can find the area because arc length has the formula of theta over 360 times 2 pi r. Arc length is 5, theta is 55, and r is what we need to find. So that's the only unknown thing in the equation. So we do 5 times 360 divided by 55 times 2 pi. We bring everything on the left-hand side and isolate r, which is what we're trying to find, on the right-hand side. So let's solve that. So we're going to do 5 times 360 and then divide that by 55 times 2 times pi. That leaves us with 5.208 centimeters. So area is going to be pi times 5.208 square, which is going to give us 85.2 centimeters square, correct to 1 decimal place. That is your answer. So for the length of our questions, you need to remember the formula for the arc length, which is theta over 360 times 2 pi r. Area of a sector, which is theta over 360 times pi r square. If you're someone who struggles with remembering these formulas, just remember that you're just multiplying the formula for the circumference of a circle or the area of a circle with theta over 360. That is the only difference. Otherwise, the formula is pretty much the same. And let's say they're asking you to find the perimeter of the sector. So for the perimeter of the sector, let's say sector ABC, if just the sector was given, supposedly. So this is your sector. So then you would do OA, which is the radius, plus the arc length, ABC, which is 5, and then plus OC. So perimeter of the sector will always be 2r plus the arc length. Perimeter of a circle would be 2 pi r, which is the circumference of the circle. Area of a circle is pi r square, and arc length is theta over 360 times 2 pi r, whereas area of the sector is theta over 360 times pi r square. These are the only key formulas you need to remember for these type of questions. Question 16 says, the cumulative frequency graph shows information about the heights in centimeters of 50 plants in a flower bed. Use the graph to find an estimate for the median height of these plants. So for the median height, what we do is we always divide the total frequency by 2. So 50 divided by 2 is 25, which means we have to find the 25th value for the median height. Median means the middle value. So 25 is basically going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is your twenty-fifth value, which is coming out to be, wait, let me draw this again. So that's 28. 28 centimeters is your median height. Then it says use the graph to find the frequency for the class interval 30 to 40. So 30 to 40 is basically given from here to here. So what we do is we draw lines from 30 and 40 towards the graph. And we're getting 30 over here and 44 over here. So what we do is they want the frequency for the class interval. So we subtract 44, and 30, which gives us the frequency for the class interval of 30 to 40 centimeters of height, which is 40. Then use the graph to find an estimate for the number of plants with a height greater than 35 centimeters. A height greater than 35 centimeters is 38 over here. So basically that's all of this region. So we do 50 minus 38, which is equal to 12. So 12 plants have a height greater than 35 centimeters. That's your answer. Apart from this, they can give you a cumulative frequency question where they're asking you to find the interquartile range. So for the interquartile range, you need to remember that you need to find the upper quartile and the lower quartile. Lower quartile is your 1/4 of the frequency, which would be 50 over here. So 1/4 of 50, if we keep this question in mind. And upper quartile would be 3/4 of 50. So you will find the place of these values using this formula and then plug it on the graph and see what the corresponding height value is. Subtract those and that gives you the interquartile range for the height. Other than that, they can give you a mixed question where they give you cumulative frequency graph and a box plot. And using the cumulative frequency graph, they can ask you to find the interquartile range or range, median. And then once you have all of the information, they can ask you to create a box plot using that information. Because a similar question, I think, came in 2024, if I'm not wrong. Even though they won't give the same thing like next year, but just in case if they do, you just have to repeat the same steps and find information and then use that to make the box plot. Then it says complete the table of values to y equals to x squared minus 3x minus 1. This is one of the most scoring questions on the exam. You just have to plug the x values in the equation, get the corresponding y values, and then plot the coordinates on the graph and connect the dots. For the coordinates, remember your x value comes first and y value is second. Coordinates are ordered pairs with x first, y second. It's not the other way around. It's always x first and y second. So for the table of values, what you'll do is you'll substitute x equals to -2 in the equation first. And that's going to be y equals to -2 squared minus 3 times -2 minus 1. That is going to give us a value of 9. Then we repeat the same, but now we replace it by -1. So that's going to give us a value of 3. Then with +1, it's going to give us a value of -3. And lastly, with x equals to 3, that's going to give us a value of -1. So once you have your values of y, you start plotting the coordinates on the grid. So I'm going to write the coordinates for you in case you're someone who's still confused about what comes first. First set of coordinates is going to be -2, 9, -1, 3, 0, -1, 1, -3, 2, -3, 3, -1, and 4, 3. These are your coordinates. Like I said, x first, then y. Now we start plotting these. -2 and 9, that's over here. -1 and 3, that's here. 0, -1 over here. 1, -3 is here. 2, -3 is over here. 3, -1 comes here. And 4 and 3 comes here. As the equation said, x square minus 3x minus 1, which is a quadratic equation, which means it's going to be a curve. So now we just connect the points. And that's your quadratic curve. Then it says Harry has two fair five-sided spinners. Harry is going to spin each spinner once. Complete the probability tree diagram. So if you look at the spinner A, we have 2 red and 3 green. So probability of red over here is going to be 2 out of 5. Probability of green is going to be 3 out of 5. For spinner B, probability of red is going to be 4 out of 5. And for green, it's going to be 1 out of 5. Very simple. In the probability tree diagram questions, they will always give you the probability in the question. Even if not all of the probabilities, they'll give you one probability. So using that one probability, you can easily figure out what the other missing probabilities are going to be. So 2 over 5, 3 over 5, 4 over 5, 1 over 5, again 4 over 5, and 1 over 5. Now, in case they had given us 2 over 5 over here and 4 over 5 over here, what you could have done was to find the probability of green, we can just do 1 minus 2 over 5, which is 3 over 5. Over here for this, 1 minus 4 over 5, which is 1 over 5. Remember the probability of an entire event happening, where it has like different things happening, that's always going to equal to 1. So if out of the entire event, the probability of one thing is 2 over 5, the probability of the other thing will be 3 over 5, keeping in mind that there are just two things happening in that entire event. So in this case, there are two possibilities. Either you get a red or a green. So if the probability of getting a red is 2 over 5, the probability of getting green would be 3 over 5. If you remember this logic, you can easily solve the probability diagram question. Apart from that, what you need to know is that when you're moving along the branches, you will multiply the probabilities. Like for example, if they were saying the probability of getting a red and a red, you would do 2 over 5 times 4 over 5. But if they were saying that probability of getting a green both times on spinner B, then that means you go from red to green first. So you times 2 over 5 with 1 over 5, or, which means plus, you do 3 over 5 times 1 over 5. So once again, along the branches, you times the probability. Across the branches, you add the probabilities. Now, if you go to part B, it says work out the probability that at least one of the spinners will land on green, which is coincidentally what I was saying. The probability of landing on green at least once. So that's this and this in the first branch, and then this and this and this as well, because we're landing on green at least once over here as well. So what we'll do is 2 over 5 times 1 over 5, or 3 over 5 times 4 over 5, or 3 over 5 times 1 over 5. That's 2 over 25 plus 12 over 25 plus 3 over 25, which is equal to 17 over 25. That is the probability of the spinner landing on green at least once. So I repeat, movement along the branches, like you saw, we multiplied, and once we went across the branches, we added. This was red and green, then it was green, red, and then green, green. Then question 19 says that P equals to 2A minus C over D. A equals to 58.4, correct to 3 significant figures. C equals to 20, correct to 2 significant figures. D equals to 3.6, correct to 2 significant figures. Work out the upper bound for the value of P. Show your working clearly. Give your answer correct to 2 decimal places. So whenever we're talking about upper bounds and lower bounds, first you need to see what's happening in the equation. Is there subtraction? Is there addition, multiplication, or division? Over here, we can see subtraction happening in the numerator, and overall, it's division. So when it's division, and they're asking us to find the upper bound, that means the numerator has to be the bigger value, which means upper bound, and denominator has to be lower bound. If we divide upper bound by lower bound, then we get the maximum value because we're dividing the bigger value by the smaller value. If we divide lower bound by upper bound, then you're going for the lower bound of P. So in this case, it's going to be upper bound divided by lower bound. So for upper bound divided by lower bound, we need to find the upper bound of the numerator. Now in the numerator, there's subtraction happening. So in subtraction, if we write this down separately, 2A minus C. So for subtraction, if we're trying to find the upper bound, that means we subtract upper bound and lower bound. This way we'll get the biggest possible value. So we need to find the upper bound of A, lower bound of C, and for D, it has to be lower bound as well. So let's start with A. So for A, it says that the value is 58.4, correct to 3 significant figures. So correct to 3 significant figures, we need to see what the third significant figure is. Third significant figure is 4. So once we've identified the significant figure, then we need to identify what is the place value of that figure. As you can see, the place value of 4 is 0.1. It's the 10th value, so 0.1. So whatever is the place value, what we need to do is we need to divide the place value by 2, because that place value is the degree of accuracy of the given number. And whenever we're trying to find upper bounds and lower bound, we divide the degree of accuracy by 2. Hence, for A, we do 0.1 divided by 2, which is 0.05. So now, upper bound of A would be 58.4 plus 0.05, which is 58.45. Now, moving on to C. For C, the number is 20, and it says it's correct to 2 significant figures. So identify the second significant figure, which is 0. Place value of the second significant figure, it's 1s. So that means we do 1 over 2, which is 0.5. So lower bound would be 20 minus 0.5, which is 19.5. You must have noticed so far that for upper bound, we're adding it, and for lower bound, we're subtracting it. Now for D, lower bound again, it is 3.6 correct to 2 significant figures. Second significant figure once again is 6, and the place value is also 0.1. So since it's 0.1, same thing, 0.1 divided by 2, which is 0.05. And for the lower bound, we'll do 3.6 minus 0.05, which is 3.55. So you have the upper bounds and lower bounds that we needed. So for P, we'll do 2 times 58.45 minus 19.5 divided by 3.55. And that's going to give us a value of 27.44, correct to 2 decimal places. So if you're someone who's still a bit confused about how to go about upper bounds and lower bounds in division, multiplication, subtraction, or addition, I'm attaching the link to one of my shorts. And you can also find more shorts about upper bounds and lower bounds in my shorts column. There are detailed examples with each step written down. And if there's still any confusion, you can leave a comment below and I'll explain it again. Then it says A, B, C, and D are points in a circle. TDB is a tangent to the circle at D. AB equals to AD. Angle ADT is 71 degrees. Work out the size of the angle BCD. Give a reason for each stage of your working. So this is your circle theorems. And in circle theorems, you need to be familiar with a few theorems. So one of the theorem is that when you have angle subtended at the circumference, the angle at the circum is going. So for the circle theorems, if you're someone who does not remember those, I'm going to attach a link in the comments. It gives all of the circle theorems in that short, and you can easily revise that or even write that down if you want to and use that for the last minute revision. So over here, they've told us that all of the points of this quadrilateral are touching the circumference. So you need to be able to immediately identify that this is cyclic quadrilateral. In a cyclic quadrilateral, all vertices of the quadrilateral touch the circumference of the circle. If that's the case, then that means opposite angles add up to 180. So these opposite angles would add up to 180. So if this is 71 degrees over here, and we have a tangent, and AB equals to AD, let me just connect these. If I connect these, we have a triangle ABD, okay? So another rule you need to remember in circle theorems, when you have a triangle in a circle and all three vertices are touching the circumference of the circle, we can apply alternate segment theorem. According to alternate segment theorem, if this angle over here is 71, this would also be 71. Whatever this angle A is, this is going to be that as well. Let me color code this differently. This is going to be this. And this middle angle that's common between the triangle and the straight line. Because sum of angles of a triangle is 180 and sum of angles on a straight line is also 180, which is exactly why these angles are equal. So we have two things right now in this shape, a cyclic quadrilateral and then a triangle with which you can apply alternate segment theorem. So we have 71 over here and we know that AB and AD are equal. So if AB and AD are equal, so doesn't this become 71 as well? It's an isosceles triangle. And we can easily find angle A because we have two angles in this triangle, triangle ABD. So angle A is going to be 180 minus 71 minus 71, which is going to give us 38 degrees. So like I said initially, a cyclic quadrilateral has opposite angles. So like I said initially, in a cyclic quadrilateral, opposite angles add up to 180, which means angle BCD would be 180 minus 38, 142 degrees. So basically, your steps for each stage. So first is your angle 71, alternate segment theorem. Then isosceles triangle. Then cyclic quadrilateral. these are the three reasoning for the steps that we undertook to find the value of angle BCD. Question 21 gives us a set of simultaneous equations. One is a linear equation, the other is a quadratic equation. Whenever we have a quadratic simultaneous equation, the only method we can use is substitution. Going for elimination is going to be very confusing and time consuming for you. So go for the easier method. Do not put extra pressure on yourself by using elimination. If it was a linear set of simultaneous equations, elimination is the best method, especially in the case if, the coefficient of both the variables is more than one. Because then if you, make one variable subject and substitute in the other equation, it's going to be a fraction. And once again, it's best to avoid fractions when you can. So, like I said, if it's a linear set of equation for simultaneous, go for elimination. If it's a quadratic, go for substitution. So now the first equation is 3x squared plus y squared minus xy equals to 5. And the other one is y equals to 2x minus 3. Show clear algebraic working. So we're going to substitute the second equation in the first one. Sub 2 in 1. When we do that, what's going to happen is that the entire equation is going to be just in terms of one variable, which is x. So that's going to be 3x squared plus 2x minus 3 whole square minus x times 2x minus 3 equals to 5. Expand the brackets. So 3x squared plus 2x squared minus 3 whole square is going to be 4x squared minus 12x plus 9 minus 2x squared plus 3x equals to 5. Collect the like terms. 3x squared plus 4x is 7x squared minus 2x squared is 5x squared. Negative 12x plus 3x is negative 9x plus 9 minus 5 equals to 0. So 5x squared minus 9x plus 4 equals to 0. Now to factorize this quadratic equation, you can either use splitting the middle term or the quadratic formula. There's no restriction on that, whichever method suits you and once again helps you save time. Just go for that. I'm going to use splitting the middle term because I find that to be much easier compared to the quadratic formula. I mean, for me, it's less time consuming actually. So for splitting the middle term, what we do is we multiply the constant with the coefficient of x squared first. So 5 times 4, that's 20. After that, we find factors of that product. So factors of 20 are 20 times 1, 2 times 10, and 5 times 4. Once you've listed down all the factors, we pick that set of factors which when added or subtracted give us the middle term, which is 9. So we know 5 plus 4 is 9. So let's go for 5 and 4. So what we're going to do is we're going to replace 9x with negative 5x minus 4x and everything else comes as it is. Once we've done that, we split them into two groups and factor those two groups separately. So between 5x squared and 5x, we have 5x common. So that's x minus 1. And between negative 4x and 4, we have negative 4 common. So that's again x minus 1 over here. Between 5x and negative 4, we have x minus 1 common. So 5x minus 4 comes over here inside the bracket. So one value of x is 1 and the other value of x is 4 over 5. Now that we found the x values, we still have to find the corresponding y values to finish the question. So at x equals to 1, y is going to be 2 times 1 minus 3, which is negative 1. And then at x equals to 4 over 5. Y is going to be 2 times 4 over 5 minus 3, which is 8 over 5 minus 3. And that's 8 minus 15 over 5, which gives us negative 7 over 5. So when x is equal to 1, y is equal to negative 1. When x is equal to 4 over 5, y is equal to negative 7 over 5. These are our values for x and y.